But hold on, does this mean that dads really prefer daughters?
So this is where it starts. Oldest siblings. Your parents can't deny they favorite their second kid anymore because science backs it up. And it's not by accident. Nature actually makes it happen as part of its master strategy. Some research says that who the parent's favorite is based more on personality compatibility and emotional closeness, not birth order, or that treating siblings differently is pretty common, but doesn't consistently favor secondborns or firstborns. But preferential treatment to second kids is a little easier to spot in wild animals because animal parents don't care as much about seeming fair or how they're perceived by other parents. Like for Moose, during her calf's first year, Mother Moose is basically the Liam Neeson of the animal kingdom, protective, relentless, and ready to fight anyone for her baby. But the moment she's expecting baby number two, that oldest calf becomes yesterday's news. Literally, she'll chase it away, repeatedly with no warning, and leave it to fend for itself forevermore. Brutal. According to Faulkner 2015, this kind of maternal rejection is normal. Researchers have also seen it happen in primates, where they reported it was often accompanied by infant distress. Yeah, no shit. So, why does nature make this happen? It's nothing to do with pregnancy hormones or mood swings. It's a thing called resource allocation. Nordwijk et al. Explain how in primates, especially arboreal tree-dwelling primates like orangutans or gibbons, carrying a baby through trees is an extreme sport in terms of the energy and risk required. So when the next baby is on the way, mom has to let go, quite literally, of the first one to focus on baby number two. Studies in human populations from back in the 80s showed that biology makes parents wait long enough to have their second kid because the first one needs to be at an age they can cope on their own while the parents focus on the next. So really playing favorites to the second child is just nature's way of being efficient and making sure both kids survive.
Science challenges to the stereotype that dads prefer sons. According to a study by Mascaro et al., fathers of daughters actually show a stronger neural response when they see their toddler daughter's happy facial expressions. This happens in regions of the brain like the medial orbitofrontal cortex, which is involved in reward and emotion regulation. When it comes to dads of sons, there's a completely different brain activity. Fathers of sons have a stronger neural response to their sons' neutral facial expressions. And interestingly, there's a link here. Dads who respond more strongly to their son's neutral face tend to engage more in rough and tumble play with them. So when it comes to sons, their facial expressions, whether neutral or not, seem to trigger a different set of parenting behaviors, often tied to physical play. But hold on, does this mean that dads really prefer daughters? Not exactly. It's more about how dads emotionally respond to their kids. The response to happy faces is tied to reward systems in the brain, so dads might be more attuned to happiness in daughters. For sons, it seems the neutral expressions call for more active physical engagement. It's like different parenting styles naturally emerge based on sex. Some studies have even suggested that the emotional bonds formed early on might affect how dads engage with their kids in the long run. So if dads react more emotionally to their daughter's smiles, they may be more inclined to engage in emotionally sensitive parenting. For sons, rough play might be a way to foster strong, active engagement. Either way, there's no indication there's a widespread preference for sons or daughters when it comes to dads.
That's favoritism among kids, but are mums and dads equal? The idea that mums are just naturally better at bonding with their babies needs a little update. Glasper et al.'s research flips the script on the idea that mums hold the monopoly on parenting bonds. Their findings suggest that when it comes to caregiving, the Global Parental Caregiving Network, i.e., the team effort to raise a young one through feeding, protecting, teaching, and comforting, etc., leads to healthier, more successful kids, whoever is in charge, because it's malleable. Malleable basically just means it can change, depending on how parents divide up the work. So if dad steps in and shares caregiving duties, he can develop just as strong a bond with his child as mom does. That means it's not about who carried the baby or who breastfeeds, but more about who shows up and who's actively involved. What's going on in parents' brains while they're building these connections with their kids? When researchers hook mothers up to brain scanners and show them photos or videos of their babies, it's like a neurological fireworks display. Maternal brains light up in all the social emotional hot zones, the mirror neuron system, so she can read baby faces, the anterior insula and thalamus cingulate regions to feel all the feelings, the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex for that inner monologue of, what is she trying to tell me? And naturally the reward areas like the ventral striatum and orbitofrontal cortex to make sure mom is dedicated to keeping her baby smiling. There's also a surge in activation in parts of the brain linked to motivation, empathy, and emotional regulation, perfect for staying calm when the toddler paints the wall with spaghetti. And what about dad's brain? Well, it turns out dads do have similar neural responses. According to Rilling and Mascaro, fathers' brains also activate when they engage with their babies. The same reward, empathy, and motivation circuits kick in. But the amount of research on dads' brains is still dramatically smaller than on mums. For decades, parenting studies focused hugely on women. We've only recently started catching up on the science of fatherhood, how caregiving shapes the male brain, how hormones like oxytocin and testosterone interact, and what the neurological pathways of dad bonding really look like. We need to do more scans of dads' parenting brains to figure out their role better.